Welcome to the GS podcast. Today we have not a stranger. You probably met him before or have seen him in my stories posting a bunch of memes. It's our good close friend, Pete. He can introduce himself to us, please.
Hi, Pauline. Nice to be here again. So nice talking to you as always. So happy to be on your podcast. It's all official. I love the background and everything now. So
Yeah, we can see you. Look at you with your cup
Mm,
from a little LA boy. You are kind of a Cali boy now, aren't
yeah,
you?
yeah. It was in my soul. I didn't realize it until I went out there, though. I
Well,
love it.
because you're a celebrity. Actually, tell everybody here about your success in Hollywood.
Oh man, what a fun! I mean, I guess I can go right into that. So moved to California. Always made that joke, like, oh, all right, well, as soon as you go out there, the running joke is like, yeah, I'm gonna have a movie and a book deal right away. Just shits and giggles, and then get out there, and then within a few months, a good friend of ours gave me a call and was like, "Hey, brother, I hear you're in the area." And next thing I know, name's Brett. Brett's a good friend of ours, and then he was working on the movie Dog with Channing Tatum that he was making specifically for his dog, and because he just loves the Ranger community so much. He doesn't put that out there too much, but he's a huge supporter. And then he was like, "Yeah, we want you in this movie," and man, it was like such a great wild ride experience. Once in a lifetime. So super appreciative that they let us they brought us on for that because they didn't need to do that at all. And they just really wanted to do it for us. So it was a great time. Got the Netflix 2-week free trial of being in Hollywood, rich and famous. So,
That's all
yeah.
they gave you? No, 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 no. Channing Tatum has to pay you, and we already know his payment is going to be having sex with me, and he's losing mine. I will be tagging Channing Tatum on this podcast. That was the arrangement. I lend you my best friend for the movie, and
Yep.
he also used. I think Trent was on it too, right? Is that?
Yeah. Trent had a huge role in it. So did Donovan. Donovan did a lot of the work on there.
Well,
Trent obviously has been very successful in the canine industry. It's his passion and his joy. And then, through some traumatic experiences, yet also like solidifying experiences, like, it kind of became famous without like, trying to, it's like he had some amazing canines and dogs, but I feel like he's used that exposure to just create great awareness and for a lot of good, and he's done a lot of good with it. So I love to
well,
see it.
that brings me to my next question. What exactly do you do, and how did you get into this canine community? What is it that your main job or the actual job that you love doing?
So as you know this, but I started off, did a couple jobs, and then there's a dog right here.
That's what I'm saying. What did you
So,
do? Well, the
that's
beginning of your career, how did you start with all this? Like, how did
the,
you?
the military. So I guess since the time I had, always had this, I think a lot of young kids in our time frame had this kind of driving factor of like we all kind of had this infatuation with the military. You grow up on these movies with like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone, and you see these big jack badass dudes that crawling through the mud and
Rambo.
going behind Rambo, and you see that as a little kid, and it just fires up all the testosterone that you have in your little body, and you're like, that's all we did as kids. We run around, we shoot, like pretend to play war. We built forts in the backyard. You do all those fun things that like boys did. A lot of boys did back then, and so he had this kind of infatuation with it. And as I got older, started entering into the workforce. And funny story is, I always wanted to be a Marine. Marines have great recruiting. They look amazing on TV. And I always thought that they did everything. I was like,
That's good.
Marines did everything. They're the tip of the spear. They're always up the front line. A lot of great Marines out there. But as I came to learn later on, that's not necessarily true. So I wanted to join the Marines. My son was born, my oldest, Julian, who's 20 now. And at the time, I just didn't feel right leaving at that time. I was kind of uncertain, so I just worked a regular job. I was a grocery manager, frozen food
Oh,
manager at
funny.
Kroger.
There was
Yeah.
a meat market or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, also groceries.
And I made good money at the time, but the job wasn't very, fulfilling. It's boring. It's retail. And one day I wanted to be a cop also, and I shattered my foot riding my motorcycle, and I was out for 6 months. And in that time frame, I decided I want to join the military.
Okay.
So I was 24, and I talked to my recruiter, who was actually a very good dude, and I was like, I want to do like something. I want to do something in special operations world. I want to be one of those cool guys you saw on TV. I want to be the old army commercials where the guys are like going, doing all the fun stuff, all that stuff you see as a kid, shooting guns, blowing stuff up, flying in helicopters. He was very knowledgeable. He was like, what about being a ranger? And I was like, okay, like, what's the difference between ranger and special forces at the time? I don't know. Everything's
By
special.
the Green Berets and
Yeah, a green beret, and you don't know the difference. I knew a slight difference.
you still you know about the Navy SEALs back then?
Yeah. Oh man, if I could, I love the SEAL community. I don't think I'm a super strong swimmer. Like I'm a good swimmer, but I don't know if I'm on that level of swimming.
Right.
Another huge factor, as I said, was my son. Two of the three Ranger battalions are in Georgia, which is where I
Awesome. You're right.
lived at the time. And I knew enough to where if you went to a Ranger battalion, you pretty much could stay there for your career, or for a good significant portion. So that was another driving factor besides just the passion of wanting to kind of do it. So anyways, I enlisted in 2008 and went through that pipeline of basic training, airborne and RIP at the time. It's now called RASP. And, ended up being very lucky to end up in 1st Ranger
So
Battalion 175. And I went through basic training with Derek,
I
your
was about to
husband.
ask you, when did you meet Derek? Was it
I met
little
Derek
basic?
in basic training. He was
Wow.
it's just
Before
right. So it's a small world that like that those communities get smaller as you go through the military, as you stay in longer, the people you worked with, things like that. But Derek and I went through basic training together, and then we actually ended up coming to 175 together. So that was a good experience. So I was very fortunate. I was there from 2000 and finished RIP in 2008, and then reported in January 09, and was lucky enough to be able to stay there from January 09 to December 2019. Um, during
you
that
left
time,
after us. Yeah.
what's that?
You left after us. You were
Mm-hmm.
there an extra year.
Yep. And so, as you know, luckily I was there. I was very lucky. Had a few bumps early on in my career, and then luckily ended up in 2B with Derek and Chris and all the
And
best people,
Ben,
surrounded by best people.
who's that? Oh, Benno's handler.
Yep. Trent, Benno's handler. Got to do a couple rotations, deployments with them. And then I was lucky enough, Trent was coming out of position, and I had done a little bit of work with him overseas. So Benno's handler right there for Benno. Done a little work with Benno and Leica with Trent, and he kind of like coached us up. And I was always, obviously, I've been into dogs and had a passion for it. And so I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And I was very lucky. Jacobs, our old platoon sergeant, he
Oh, he's a
fought
lot of
for me
fun.
to get that position because there's not a lot of positions as a canine handler in regiment. So you have to like put your name out there and tell him you want to do it. And then, he had to get it kind of like approved for me so I could go over there. And, honestly, you look back at all this adversity and it's amazing at what these little things you did and what doors they opened later on in life.
Well, that's how you ended up in the dog movie. And not only that, for
Mm-hmm.
everybody that doesn't know, my friendship with Pete almost ended in Savannah because, funny story, Channing Tatum was in town in Savannah to record Magic Mike 3 extra extra large. Fun fact, I was an extra of the movie, so I actually got to work with Channing Tatum too, and I am in one of his movies. He just doesn't remember me, but I was the loudest. And I got to meet the entire staff, including him. He took that photo with me when he was leaving the beach. I have that photo with him, and I look crazy because I was stalking him. Next thing you know, this motherfucker right here in front of y'all got to take someone. He apparently when he started interested in the Rangers. I even say, why is his obsession with Rangers? He knows more about Derek than Derek cares about him. Because
Mm-hmm.
we had conversations and video calls, which I appreciate with Channing Tatum, and he just seems so fascinated by what you guys do as
Mm-hmm.
Rangers. And what do you think is that? What do you think celebrities thinks you guys are the celebrities? I know,
Well,
but I want to know how you feel
I can't
getting
speak
that
about
attention.
I can't speak about everyone, but obviously that's a general question people ask. They're like, "What's it like? What's this?" And I just tell people I was like, after working on the movie, and like he's just a good friend. Like I mean, he's just like one of the boys. He just picked a different path, and he was awarded a very different path in life where he just got to who had his struggles too, or with a lot of things and a lot of adversity. But he was uh pushed into like a different path in life, and he's always said he's very humble, and he's like, man, he has so much respect and for what people do in the military. And he's like always same. I think he kind of had that same infatuation like everyone else had as like a young kind of like aggressive male
Wait,
figure, like he's in shape, he's fit, he likes to do boy stuff. Like so I think yeah, that's it. He just was awarded a probably a little bit better opportunity in some aspects, so he went down that path instead, which I don't blame him for.
well, he
So
started as a stripper. There's
yeah,
something he probably couldn't do. He probably wouldn't do ranger school, but he definitely can
yeah.
dance. So
So
he
but anyways, he's a very humble guy. You would never
still,
know it, but he's he loves the military, has a ton of great respect. And then the ranger thing popped up. He just had this thing with the dogs, and got in touch with like our guys, and he made a documentary too on HBO for to that talking about Lako and Benno, and then another GS handler canine. So it's or sorry, Leica Benno, and then also one of our other dogs that Dixon had. I forgot her name at the time. So,
the
but the he's just been a good guy that just really loves and cares, and just
you don't
has
have to
huge
convince me. I'm
appreciation.
having sex with him and Derek.
Yeah.
So I mean, I already know this guy is fabulous. I just want everybody to understand how your destiny, and I do believe in the good energy and how you manifest these things, like you manifested that movie. Cheney showed up to 175 to your work
Mm-hmm.
while you
He
were
showed
in
up.
that position.
So I think that was 2014 time
Yes, I was.
frame.
I was
They showed up because they wanted to make a documentary about the dogs.
okay.
And then so they were shooting that Magic Mike 2 movie, and then they came to the kennel, and we took him in the yard. They hung out for a while. We talked, we bullshitted, and then we put him in the bite suits. That was fun for everybody. Not everyone gets to fit like these dogs we had at the time too. Those dogs we had were studs. Like they were good, strong, big.
Yes, one every 3 months.
And our trainer at the time, I learned this like later on. I was still new in the canine world, but you start working with different dogs. And there's some are better than others. Like not that they're bad, it's just some are. At that lineup we had was an all-star team at that time frame. The dogs we had, they were all big, they were all strong, and they were all like kind of man.
Really?
And that was our kennel master at the time. That's his style. He wanted dogs like that, so he purposely sought out big dogs that were just monsters that had strong bites. And so they got a good experience when they came to the kennel and got to
That's
get eaten a bit, and they had fun. We went our separate ways. They
right.
kept on, they did that thing, and it's crazy how life. I never thought of once I'd ever in my life live in California, and like you go out this way, I'm in Georgia, this, and then somehow your paths cross back together, and then you got to make a super great movie who we're super appreciative of that they decided to make it. A lot of people don't know like they didn't have to make that. I think that was their directorial like debut that they did all themselves. And like
And to
Chan
give
said,
recognition to heroes, because that's what you are, and that's the real question of all these events that are happening in your family, in us meeting, and and Derek. It all comes down to one thing, and everything that you have on your wall. I
mm-hmm,
will say, I don't know what it is for you, other than being a father. That being a ranger will be the most important part that has created your entire life. Like that was a choice that you feel like you created their best friends, your life, your entire destiny or future is based on you making that decision and working with the Rangers in 175.
yeah, I'll say it's a very defining moment, right? It's hard for a lot of people. I really wanted to. When I look back and I think of it, it's kind of crazy. It's like it's really hard for a lot of people to want to one join the military, and then two go through these selections, and then to have like a longer career. It's like a lot of adversity you're faced, and it's kind of lucky if you make it a long ways. And people get out, they get hurt. they get burnt out and leave,
They
whatever.
die. A
The
lot of them
people,
die.
amount of people come in shrink. The amount of people you came in with that were wanting to go down this path, it shrinks over time. You know, you were saying it provides a lot of purpose, which is what everyone I feel like is kind of searching for. It's not just a regular job you're going to every day. Like every day you're going and you're surrounded by some of the best people in the world, I feel like. And you're like all have this, for the most part, like driven, hardcore mentality, perfectionist mentality. Everyone you're surrounded with elevates each other. They bring each other up. There's always someone faster than you, stronger than you, better than, there's always someone better than you. So
Yes.
you're always
You
working.
become your
You're always
competitor.
working to be a better shot, a better, more fit, like smarter, like more intellectual, like whatever it may be, and it gives you a lot of purpose and motivation. So it is kind of like a defining moment because it builds a lot of character over time. I feel like it builds a lot of character, and that in every aspect of life, whether it be, expectations or family, as you're kind of slowly bridging into. I can get into that a little bit, but I would say a lot of purpose, motivation, and then I would say it teaches you as a person, builds up. First, you start off just as a sponge, you're learning a bunch of things that is like kind of overwhelming. And then it's fun, but it's kind of like, there's holy crap, there's so much to learn. And then you become this person that's cool and confident. And it's fun to mentor people. Your role switch. You go from this guy that's like learning, 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 and then you become more of a senior person in an organization. Like, it's fun to mentor guys and train them and get them up to speed, and what's right and what's wrong and how to build them and how to coach them to where they can be a future asset or successful, in those organizations too. So yeah, and it's, going into life, I would say, you said it builds up resiliency. Like, a lot of people struggle with a lot of things. I mean, we've endured a lot of, hardship.
Pain.
Yeah.
Pain.
So
And physical too. And
men-
mental.
mental, physical, lots of hardships that guys had to endure, which build, hopefully they build like a lot of patience. And, I would say a lot of people haven't faced like a lot of adversity. So every time you are faced with these things and then you get through it, it builds up your level of like your titration level a little bit, and it kind of builds you up a little. And so you become a little bit more equipped, I feel like, to handle adversity in life as it comes at you.
I feel like you guys are like trained as machines and to be the strongest. And then sometimes we forget that because you guys are constantly deploying. When you were constantly deploying, I just saw it, right? I lived it as a wife. So I was on the other side of you guys, always being gone, always being training, creating that brotherhood that I love. I love how close you guys are, the group. It's a very tight group. And you guys, the OGs, to try to stay in touch and that sometimes get lost. But then you come home and sometimes you don't forget, you never let go of that war. And I know that affects in personal levels. And you actually have tell us you're an amazing dad. You had two more children. I know you were in a relationship, you were married.
Mhm.
So maneuvering a whole marriage with little kids, and this is for somebody that maybe is in a relationship right now, and it's a young ranger or it's listening and it's in the army and they don't know how to deal with all that. You did it for 10 years. I guarantee you it's not easy. Any advice for those military dads that you have?
Mm, yeah. Um, it's tough, right? Like, it's in the at the time, it's so your purpose and stuff is so clear, driven, and you're just going and going and going, and like you said, that nonstop training and nonstop deployment, it cycle and parenting also, it provides it goes nonstop, and it becomes kind of a routine. What you don't realize until later on is that you live in this kind of permanent state of stress, and it's kind of like you don't realize this until you pull it back. Like, it, you feel it, but there's all these little things, and it wears you down, and it wears your family down. And every person has a different level, right? Like, one person could do it for 4 years and be like, this isn't for me. One person could do it for 20 years, and then, you know um I just saw another guy talk about this recently, um, randomly on another podcast. He's a former Delta operator, and he was like, you know, would you do it all again if you looked at it? And it's like, he's like, I'm not sure. He's like, but it's more of like he said something along the lines of like it did a lot of like purpose and like man, I'm trying to remember exactly how he said it. But anyways, the it takes its toll. It takes its toll on your family. It takes its toll on your kids. It takes its toll on you. That you don't realize really until you leave those organizations. So it's a lot of fun, and it built some amazing memories and friends and another family that you never thought you had and lifetime bonds. And I'm so happy and proud I got to go through it. But as far as like being a father, I would just say try to make the most of the time that you do have. So when you are home, you're just enjoying those times with the kids and realize you're in those moments, like, and realize you're in those memories. Don't take it like for granted. Like your kids change so much every
So
year.
fast. I
It's
miss
so
them.
much. Like I
Grows
feel
so fast.
like I blinked, and my oldest, he's an adult man now, which is cool. Your relationship evolves. It's cool to see, but then there's sometimes I see some pictures, and I'm like, man, that was like I blinked my eyes, and he's old, And now that I'm not my current, once I left the Ranger Battalion, I was like, I'm not really deploying currently, which is
Good or
amazing.
bad? Financially bad. I
Yeah,
can confirm
financially,
that.
I
I've
always
been
call it they call
money.
it like a drug, right? I call it you're chasing the dragon.
Yeah.
I did many deployments
Good.
in my short time there. I think it's
You
12,
guys deployed a lot.
maybe like 12 straight or something like that. And it's what you wanted. It's what everybody wanted to do. It's your goal. It's what drives you. It's what you came to this job and this place for. However, being home now, it's like I just could care less
Priority.
about that. Honestly, nothing bad to say. I loved every second of it, but now I just enjoy being a father, enjoy being able to go to my daughter's competitions, like take my son for a walk, make them breakfast in the morning if I can, when I have them. And those things to me now mean more than, not that the other stuff isn't fun and amazing and a blast. It's just those things have kind of tipped the scale in that direction now, for me. And
And regardless of the branch, I feel like anybody with a military career can break. I mean, it's not always works for either relationships or anything. I know you're a hopeless romantic, and you believe in love and happiness. And I think we went through this together just to know that it's better for the kids to be happy. Kids deserve happy parents. Can we
Mhm.
agree with that?
I agree. Better for the kids to be happy. That's tough. If you're talking about like a relationship split, it's like that's tough because the kids obviously don't want their parents split, which is a um,
Choice.
tough choice, right? That's horrible. Like it's like you don't want that. However, my ex is a good mom. She loves our kids like very much.
That's
And
the priority. The kids are always
yeah,
is
she
the
loves them. I love them very much. We both care about them, but together, it was not,
function.
best environment for them because we didn't get along very well. But we both love them and want them to do well and want them to know we care about them. So, very happy that they just moved closer, and then I can get to see the kids
That's
more
awesome
often,
too.
and it helps everyone involved. So helps her, because it helps her with the kids. The kids need both their parents in their lives more than just a couple times.
Than just fighting parents. And I say this because a lot of people stay together and the kids suffer. There's some guys out there in the military right now or that I personally know that are miserable and nobody's forcing you to stay with someone that is
Mhm.
no longer works.
Yeah, it's
Derek knows he can leave if he's not happy.
yeah, it's tough, especially with kids, especially if you love your kids and love being a dad. It's a very hard decision, that you kind of come to, and it's on one end, it's like, okay, well, you're not going to be around as much because you're living in separate houses, and then another hand, it's like, all right, if you stay, you're just in a kind of like maybe like a bad environment, and one things someone told me. It kind of changed my whole perspective. A friend of mine, I guess his girlfriend at the time, was talking to me, and she was saying that she's like, my parents split. She said that she actually had a better relationship with her mom and her dad when they were in separate houses, because she said when they were together they were arguing all the time and fighting all the time, and then maybe the fact that like if you're in separate houses, you know you can focus on your happiness, like she can focus on hers, and then you guys can come together
For
during
the
those times. You're not around each other all the time, but when you are, like, you want to set a good example for your kids, and you don't want to be fighting and doing anything like that, so you can come together and be nice to each other. And like, my ex just came to Universal with us for a day, and the kids had a blast, and they enjoy seeing that we could do things together, sometimes still. So that, I think I like to think that that's good. I don't think anyone has all the right answers. It's a constant
No, but
evolution.
I mean, just seeing you on the other side, but that's the goal. Because again, I lived through the whole process of, divorce is not nice for anybody. You both suffer a lot. I'm friends with both of you all. I support
Mhm.
both of you all. I love all the kids. I'm the godmother of one of them, and Brielle is my princess. So it's good to see you both thriving and moving forward. So
Mhm.
what for anybody out there that is scared to maybe move forward and they're in a sticky situation? I mean, here's Speed. He's living his dream over there in the Florida beach, whatever he's doing,
Yeah.
being swaggy. But you
Mhm.
can. There is another. There was a point in your life that you ever. GS is all about overcoming adversity, and I know you've overcome a million things in your life, but sometimes real life, the real feelings, your family is at risk, your kids, or maybe we lose somebody that we love a lot, and those are things that will take you rock bottom. Can you share something that you overcame that was very traumatic for you, or have you had that rock bottom, and how do you work on it daily?
I feel like, hmm. Yeah, I mean, so as I kind of double-edged sword, right? I think a lot of people in the military have this. You go through these high octane units with these people that are just amazing around you everywhere you go, whether here or in San Diego or wherever I was. I'm always been surrounded by these amazing people, and we're always working towards. And you have this very. What I was getting at is you have this very driven purpose, right? And what people always say, like, what's the meaning of life? I feel like it's to find purpose, right? And something meaningful that you look forward to, get enjoyment and fulfilling, every day. And for me, those two things were the job and being a father, like being a dad. Like, I loved being with my kids, and I really enjoyed the job. I would say the lowest point was like pretty much, yeah, it was during that time frame. I kind of lost both of those at the same time. Like, I have an amazing job here in Tampa now, but it's not
Just be feeling.
it's not operational. It's an administrative, boring job. So it's you know, but that was kind of a tough time, because that transition of like, well, I don't have this, now what? And I don't have this, now like what? I mean, you're still a father, but my kids were not close at the time, so it's like, what do I do? And it's like, and it kind of puts you. I feel like I'm a very emotionally intelligent person. It's like I can know, like, I'm like, man, I'm like kind of depressed. It's like, and
It hits
really
you.
kind of sad, and it's like, man, it really sucked, not having those things at the same time. And then you're just trying to figure out what to do every day. Like, what do I do with everything? And it really hit like hard. As we know, a good friend like Chris, like, he was a good friend of mine. He was my Ranger buddy. Like, we were best friends through everything. He helped me through a lot of that stuff. Um, like he did for a lot of people. So it was really good. It was really amazing. And then, yeah, and then recently, as you know, he
You pass. Rest in peace, Chris. We miss him every day.
yeah.
Okay, buddy.
So, mm, yeah, I'm okay with it. As you know me, like, I'm okay with this stuff now. Like, it's okay to be like emotional with some of this stuff, but yeah, so that kind of hit. It's like a lot of like low moments, kind of
One
all
after another, right? It felt
kind of
like
all slapped together at once. Um, The only thing I say to that is like I said, I've been very fortunate in life to know I've built up a lot of resilience over the years, and just knowing that you just got to keep putting like one foot forward in front of the other, because great things happen too, and you live life for those good moments and try to know when you're in them. And that's what kind of like makes life kind of like worth living, is like those moments with those people and those friends and those things that are happening around you. I feel like that helps a lot. Those, like I said, those are well, everyone's kind of had loss in their life. And early on in like my career, I don't know if this is too soon, but it's like early on in my career, it's like I didn't really acknowledge a lot of that stuff. Like um, people died or got hurt or things like that, because it just kind of ignored it. I think that's kind of a normal thing a lot of people do.
You swallow that.
You swallow it up and you keep going. But like as it was told to me, it's like it's like a beach ball trying to keep it under the water, and you're like laying on it. Eventually, it's going to start
Kind of
popping up here and there, and that doesn't. It's crazy. It's you hold all that in, and eventually it's going to come out. You just don't know when or how, and all of a sudden it hits you, and it's like, man, like I never had a tear come out of my eye for like 10 plus years through all these like crazy things that have happened, and all of a sudden it's just like you like I was talking to a lot of dudes about this. You be like watching like a Disney movie, like Simba's dad dies, and you're like, so
oh
like,
yeah,
what the hell? Like, why?
that will make you cry. Everything will make you cry now.
Yeah, so I'm okay with it. Like, I'm comfortable with like like the masculinity like part and all that stuff. It's like you said, doing this stuff for a very long time, you just become very comfortable with who you are, and then you're like, okay, well, can't judge me. So.
Then life hits you, and that's why you had all your friends. I mean, I'm the only one that gets to deal the shitty part, the bitch. You can tell everybody who has to deal with all your drama is me, guys.
Yeah.
I am the I don't even know what I am because I just here for you guys always.
Yeah, no, you've always been there. You've always been there for me and like for other friends and things like that.
Right.
Always been very nice and had good advice and talked to people. And you've always been there for Derek, which is amazing. You've always been there to take care of him, and it's like you've always been great to him. So that's nice. Yeah, it's nice that he has someone like you looking out for him. So that's a lot of fun. Yeah, that's like I would say that's probably like recently it's been like, and then just little things too. You get a little bit older, go from being this like unit that's like great in shape, like you feel like you could do anything, and
That
he's
was my
like,
next question about your
yeah,
fitness
well,
journey.
let's go to it. Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's
Say it.
get into your fitness journey. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, you're living an example. The life keeps beating you, and just keep getting up. And I love that about you. And you're a huge motivator, and you help me a lot with Derek too. And
It's
you're
like one of those things, like I said, you were talking about the movie stuff earlier. I never thought in my life I'd be sitting on like for 2 days, we got to fly around on like this is just one example. Like, fly around on a private jet for two
which
days. Like,
Tatum.
with, yeah. And I'm just sitting here, like, those moments and I'm with some of my best friends, Trey, Trent, Donovan, Dixon. Like, we're all just sitting there, just hanging out together, and like doing this stuff together. And I'm just like, dude, I remember talking to my buddy Trey. I'm like, what is life right now? Like, this
Yeah,
is unreal. I was like, this is so cool. We're giving each other tattoos in a freaking hotel room.
so mad
Um,
I wasn't here. That was my
yeah.
second this to
It's like, you're here at Fort Benning.
I was in Hawaii.
We're going to go to our buddy Derek's house, other Derek's house. You're going to get a tattoo gun at 10 o'clock at night. His wife's standing in the kitchen and she's going, like, just sitting there, like,
I would have been giving all of you a blowjob. I will definitely get real by the entire
yeah.
trail. I already told you that photo with the shred Cheney.
It was fun. I said, Derek, I was like, I need a tattoo gun, and he's like, okay. I was like, tell Beth put on some clothes. I'm bringing Chan over your house, and he's like, okay. And then like just standing in the kitchen, and it's kind of funny because she's yelling. She's like, shut up, the kids are sleeping. So, um, but it's cool, that's fun. But what I'm saying is those moments in life and being able to recognize you're in these moments that are kind of surreal, and like trying to just take it all in. And then, I know I'm riding this high. I know this isn't going to last. There's going to be some adversity that hits me in the future, but not thinking about that too hard either. You got to be in the moment. You got to be able to
It doesn't
enjoy
last
life.
forever. It doesn't
No,
last
you got to be
forever.
able to be like, man, I'm in such a good moment. They're like, yeah, well, it doesn't last. Like, shut up. I'm going to enjoy my moment. Like, I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to soak this up as much as I can. And then, you know what? When that shit hits me, I'll deal with it because I know that somewhere down the line, I'm going to get another one of these moments and I'm going to get that.
Or
And
better, bigger and
Mhm.
better. When you have, that's what you're just saying, Betty. Hope that it's going to get bigger and better. That's one thing you and I have in common. We're always striving for the next good thing because we know it's happening. We're not
Yeah,
focused
it's,
on, oh, I'm sad. This happened. Like the
mhm.
Kristen was horrible. It was unexpected.
Yeah.
I'm
And as
still,
you know, I am too. It really hit me hard on like Father's Day. That was another one just
I
recently.
told you. Me too. I posted,
That was totally normal. It's fine. But the year prior, we had all gotten together, and I'm so
I've
grateful
done
for that moment. We all gotten together, and we got to hang out on Father's Day together, and we all had a great. It's one of those moments where it's like, all right, we've all fought our wars, we've all done our time, and like everyone's just sitting around barbecuing, hanging out at the pool. No one's doing anything crazy anymore, and it's so those moments are very unique, and
so
knowing you're in them and grateful that I had it. But then this year, on Father's Day, it kind of hit me. I was like, that wasn't wasn't there. So and then all the other loss we kind of experience in our line of work. There's lots of other friends that names didn't mention, or just the people you see that either got hurt or killed, and it's like it's a lot of adversity. It's a very hard, and it could leave you with a very, like, I would say,
negative
sad
outcome
outlook on life. I
for
try to
them.
look at it as more, I'm like grateful I've gotten to know these people and the great things they did, and try to tell their stories when you can, because it's cool. It's it's the kind of keeping their memory alive, and also, I'm just grateful we all have a limited time on Earth. Like everyone says that, but I truly try to make the most of each moment, whether it's big or small. Whether it's like a big event or just going to your kid's graduation, or just hanging out, on a holiday, on Christmas, or whatever it may be. Like those, enjoy those
Or
little
tag
moments.
each other on memes. Just be there, be present for your
Yep.
friends. It's true. Tag each other. I know you and Derek keep communication too, even if it's just through reels that you guys send all day. It's better than not be there or
Yeah.
not communicate. A lot of men do that, and I do. Thank you for being so expressive. I have a lot of guy friends, and I'm married to one that has no soul or says that I'm dead inside. Okay, cool, buddy. But it's better to be connected with your feelings. You always try to help Chris and Derek, and you're an advocate to all of your guy friends that it's cool to have feelings. And how do you treat that mental health part of your life with all the strong men that you're surrounded with? Because that's what you guys are. You were
Yeah.
built tough.
So you go through this whole thing where like I said, you're surrounded by these people and you're tough, and you've built, and a lot of it's individual work too, and you work on yourself and you get to be strong, you work out, you do all these things. And yeah, when it comes to like the, I would say, mental health aspect of it,
Of men.
guys are tough, and everyone wants to be able to handle it on their own. Like, no, I don't need help, I can do this. Like, I don't, and it's kind of like looking at the aspect of like, yeah, sometimes you need a team. You can be very good at dealing with stuff on your own. You can be well with, maybe doing things, but sometimes things become overwhelming for some people. And, it's okay to have a team, whether whoever it may be, whether it's friends or, you see somebody, like professionally, like to go into that aspect. And like,
Go
it's not a
talk to
big deal.
someone. Go talk to a therapist you recommended.
Yeah, and don't settle for the first one. If you don't like the first one you talk to, like, not that it's bad.
Or
Sometimes it's a relationship. Everything's a relationship. You might not necessarily, they might be a good person, but you might not like the person you're talking to, and they might not really understand what you're saying or getting at until you find that person that's kind of comfortable, that kind of like gets you as a person and understands you, and can kind of put your words out there, that your word mumbo jumbo out there, and kind of bring it all together, for you.
do you
So
think it helps you go to therapy? Be a
yeah,
better person,
so
be a better dad.
I definitely think it helps. I think it's something like a lot of people should strive for. I when I got here, I would say I got to go through, like, I was very lucky to go through this TBI like prep program, and then the Tampa VA has been absolutely amazing. But part of that program was the mental health aspect. And like you fill out these little sheets. And at first, I was dealing with all that family stuff that I was telling you about,
Yeah.
family, job issues. And I was trying to talk to the person here that was on our post and provided to us. Really nice guy, amazing person. But I felt like I was just talking to you. Not that that's a bad thing. I just didn't feel like he had any direction. It wasn't like if I'm teaching a course, I want like course out. I want to know what's going on. Where's our beginning? Where's our end? What are we working on? How are we getting better? And just like I was just talking to a guy, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Then I went to the Tampa VA, or not, I didn't go as part of the program, but you go through and you fill out these little sheets right away. And then the lady goes through and she sits down with you and she gives you like a point scale on these things. That's how they work. You fill out these point scale. And then she's like, okay, cool. Luckily, they focus specifically on people that usually did. A lot of them here, they know like our line of work and the types of people and personalities that come through. And she's like, okay, now I'm going to go through every single one of these with you and talk about every single one. Because a lot of times you guys put yourself lower on the line than you should. You like downplay a lot of things. And so not on purpose. It's just kind of your personality and who you
Right.
are as a human, and that's what made you successful. Sometimes is also what's bringing you down, right? Like all these attributes that are amazing, and
Can
your
drag
husband
you.
and like other people I've worked with over the years, all these amazing characteristics that they have is also what brings them down. When it comes to other aspects in life, so she's like, yeah, you're here, and she's like, actually, she's like, let's move you up on this one because this is this, and then this one. And she's like,
That's
okay,
awesome.
well, you have this, and this. And I was like, oh, well, okay, cool. And anyways, talked to my person a lot, and Dr.
And you're
Bay.
building a program, you have an actual plan on
Yeah,
work.
and she's very, they have very direct, and they also offer treatment like for people. I was very lucky. She's like, you're really good and kind of like emotion, like my thought process is different. But then after going through that, what that enabled me to do is kind of like realize I was like, man, I have a lot of friends out there that don't that I think could benefit from something like this more than me. I was like I feel
No, I'm married one.
she like without going too much into it, but she's like, she's like most of your stuff is more grief oriented. Like you don't hold yourself accountable for like certain things that happen, which that happens to a lot of people. Even if they aren't like you earn a little bit more acceptance. Like some people, like even if they weren't there, like they feel guilty for things or whatever it may be. Or even if they were there,
They're
they
too hard on themselves. That's all
yeah,
it
they're
is.
hard on themselves or feel like, and those are, and then the other thing is just realizing like that's okay. Like that people feel that way. That's normal. You're not the only one that's happened to. That happens to a ton of people in all aspects of life, not just the military. So but going through that, I got to like learn a decent amount and learn about, just I love psychology as a whole anyway, but it's just you get to work with them and they were extremely helpful and they had like a plan and a plan of attack and they like assess you first, they get to know you first, and then they come up with like a strategic ways to attack it, almost like everything else. It's like it doesn't get rid of your experiences, or I hate the word trauma. I always talked about this with Chris. I was like, trauma is a very vague word. They use it for a lot, or broad is a better
I don't
description. But
think it's trauma. I consider it life experience. I don't think
yeah,
it's
well, I mean, there's things that happen, whether it be a family member dying or something a bad experience. It gets lumped into that word, but when we hear that word, we think it's like it has to be like some super dramatic thing that happened. It could be little things, and so they take its toll on people, and it's good to seek out. I would say my lady is very good. I talk a lot, and hey, my thoughts sometimes get a little incoherent if I don't stay on track,
no.
as you know.
Maybe you hire her. She seems fabulous. It's okay.
Yeah,
Long, long
and
time. And the message that you're giving every man out there is if you need the therapy, go look for help. There's out there. You were lucky and blessed that you met someone. Some
mhm,
people might never get that chance. There's a lot of people that don't even try to look for it, or
yeah,
there's
I think like I said, like you said, like when you were talking about this previously, you're just like, what's your like one piece of advice? And I would say like, don't be afraid to just try. I was like, you don't even have to do anything crazy. Like, don't be afraid to try. I view it just like anything else. If you're into fitness, if you're into shooting, if you're trying to work on your craft, or you're always working on yourself, whether it's to educate yourself more, become better at something. You're always trying to do more for yourself. So it's like, why would you not take care of, you're trying to eat better. It's like people are always trying to eat better. It's like, why would you not um, try to, it's like a maintenance, it's like oil check, right? It's like oil or like like an oil change. You're just maintaining that level. It's almost like you're clearing out all this bullshit and you're just staying at a good level the whole time. And it's good. I think it's good for a lot of people to just be able to have that and have that relationship and check in and, even if it's with friends too, even if, but
Sometimes those are unpaid therapists, and
Mhm.
it's fine. And that's why I created this space and the podcast, because a lot of people might not want to talk about it, but they want to hear about it and hear others myself.
Yeah. I'm not saying to be like a total baby, like, right? Like we all have to go through adversity and hard times. That's what builds character and builds us up. Makes us better, makes us mentally tough. Like adversity is good. It strengthens us. It gets us through things, right? Like being able to go through something shitty and coming out on the other end, you just built another layer of adversity. Like, you built your titration level up a bit. And so now you're a bit stronger every time you go through something. And that's kind of, I would say, shitty, or whatever. You built all these experiences. And so, I would say my lady, she's very good at taking all my thoughts and reframing them all and make them clear and concise, and then also sometimes coming up with game plans on how to handle certain things, almost like a
That's
coach.
good.
Every
That's
player
like
needs a
a
coach, right?
coach. I know. I'm trying to
You could be a freaking all-star player out there, and like the coaches are out there drawing up plans for you
even
and
the
plays.
bodybuilders have coaches. Even the trainer of the gym has a coach. Everybody
Mhm.
is being coached by somebody that has more knowledge, more experience, and went to school for it. I
Yep,
see it on the
exactly.
gym community. Now you are, and I'm sorry to throw you under the bus, but you are one of the oldest, elderly grandpas of the group. I think you are. You are. It makes me feel good because my birthday is next Sunday. This is your reminder. I am barely going there. I'm about to hit the fourth floor. You are
Mhm.
there already, aren't you?
Yep, hit 40 last
Okay.
year.
So you're turning this you're turning 41 this year. So you're already gonna survive your first year. What advice do you have for us senior citizens that are still trying to stay fit? You have a lot of setbacks. Just so everybody knows, he's always getting injured. But is there any advice that helps you look? You look great.
Until this last
You
year.
look
Yeah. I would say not until this last year. This last year has kind of kicked me in the nuts a little bit, but that's okay. Uh, Advice, man. I don't know. So like 39, I was probably in the best shape of my life. I was competing in those tactical games, competitions. I felt like a monster. Like I was crushing people that were younger than me. I felt really good about myself. Going through that, had a great coach that was doing my programming. He unfortunately stopped doing it for people. I'm still kind of hopping around trying to find a program that I love as much as his. So Zach Forrest, I'm going to tag you in this. Come back. I message him every couple
he
months
needs
and be
you.
like, give me some programming. But he's doing great programming. I think he's doing it for like big organizations, military, and gyms and things like that. So he's probably making bank now, but because he's a
Coach.
great programmer and a good coach. He goes to those CrossFit games and he like grades people. I think he's like level
Oh
4. I'm
wow.
not huge in CrossFit, but I guess that's like a very prestigious thing. So missed you, Zach. Come back. But his programming was amazing. I got in the best shape of my life. I really learned how to work out in different ways and just saw my strength and endurance just go through the roof with a good coach. Then moved to Tampa, like I said. I mean, I was also living in sunny San Diego. It was beautiful out every day, working out outside. Everyone's out there, shirts off. Like, once again, it's kind of like being in those communities. Like, you got to stay up to be out here. You can't be out here in sunny San Diego. There's 65-year-olds walking around shredded that are jacked, looking better than you every day. So you gotta maintain that level
Don't
of
tell me there's no
fitness.
hot people in Tampa. Don't be slacking.
There are no, there are. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like in San Diego, we were out there every day. Like it's just everywhere right in your face. It's that Southern California look. Everyone moves out there to be.
Barbie. Barbie
So,
and Ken.
yeah, where you can, So yeah, it was a good time, but it requires a lot of effort and energy, and then very disciplined like program with nutrition and working out, and then being here, little dumb things kind of started hitting you at 40. What happened this year, man? I freaking pulled a hammy. That put me back for a few months. I was just doing sprints, did a good warm up and everything, and I was just giving it all. My fifth out of six sprint, and I heard that thing go pop, pop, pop. So it literally made three pop sounds. So luckily it didn't tear, but I had to. I was a couple months down. Had an issue with a toe. Couple issues with some nerve endings in my back.
Jesus.
um, all these like, I mean, they're these little things. I'm very try to be grateful, that it could have been could always be worse, right? Kind of smashed my heel doing some skydiving. Kind of had a bad landing. That was my fault, and I hit my heel pretty hard, so I couldn't walk right for a little bit. Nothing broke, but those soft tissue bruises they last a lot longer, and especially if you're standing on it every day. So anyways, just going down the little laundry list, it's like these little chinks in the armor start hitting you, and for someone like me, and probably a lot of other people that I know, like in your mind, like man, you still want to be man. I'm like, it's okay. It's like it's okay, little give yourself a little grace, right? Like we're still fit, but like in my head, if I'm not running sub 7 minute miles while also squatting
No,
400
you're
plus
crazy.
pounds and deadlifting and benching and doing all this stuff, it's like man, if I'm not doing all those things while still maintaining lightning fast speed and endurance and this, like we want to be athletes year round, like, and it was talked to me by another trainer, and he's like, no, no, not many people are training to be a
Goggins.
year-round
You
athlete.
take
Like
Goggins.
it's tough, like it's tough, but it's more the mental aspect because then these little chinks come, and I'm running like an 8 minute mile now as I'm like trying to get back after it and build my speed back up and things like that, and I'm just like, that's pathetic, that's trash, that's horrible, and it's like, no, man, it's okay. Like you have to kind of give yourself a little grace to kind of get back on your feet, and then working with, I've always recommend coaching, working with a good trainer, someone that can like take into fact, like maybe your injuries you might have, um, and just kind of pushing through it, or maybe just
Your
changing
routine.
how you work out.
No,
Maybe
not
like you need to change like what you do, and
nutrition.
also working on. I've always been big on mobility and flexibility work. I kind of neglected that a little bit. I always was huge into it, and then I felt that kept me injury free for a long time, and I started neglecting it. And like now, your warm up takes just as
20
long as your
minutes,
freaking
20 to
workout.
30 minutes. My PT,
Yep.
both Derek and I go to physical therapy. Like we're senior citizen. As a matter of fact, I'll show you right now. I was there Wednesday. You can tell. Look at that. Look, that's needling. Look at that bruise from
Yep.
how my traps are so tight. You have
Yep.
to take
And you don't realize that
maintenance.
stuff.
No, the maintenance.
So
No, and that's
it's
why
you have to take care of yourself, so get a good warm-up program, make sure you're executing it and doing it. You just have to be more conscious. You can't just go right into it, and you can do it and survive, but for how long until you kind of tweak something. And then there's also just the ego part of it. It's like, man, like I think I squatted like 475 like recently or 480. I'm like, why can't I want 500? I'm like, I
sorry.
want 500. I was
50
like, I don't need that.
pounds.
No, there's no need for that. But like inside, you're just like, fuck that, fuck that. I'm gonna get that.
That's
I want it. It's like I want it. Then the next day, you're like, my back hurts. Like, wonder why, asshole? Because you loaded up a barbell and put like 500 pounds on there. You went for it. Um, so just going through that. One thing I will say is I think fitness is important for everyone, no
Thank
matter
you.
what you do.
Don't let yourself go.
It's
Tell your buddies over
I even talked to a friend of mine, Cole, and we talked about this once a few years ago. He probably doesn't remember the conversation, but Cole does all that red carpet stuff. Like he does those cameras and stuff. But he says like, sometimes you're like in a bad mood and you don't even realize it, and it's like kind of counterintuitive because it's like I just want to sit here. I'm kind of tired. I just want to sit here and not do anything. And then it's like that's actually really when you need to do something. Like you need to go to the gym and work out and do, because then all of a sudden you feel better. It helps with your emotional state, helps with everything, how you're feeling, helps with your appetite. I feel like even
you.
too helps control it if you're just sitting around and you
Snacking.
like me, you like to bounce around a lot, and what do you do? Okay, well, I can't work out right now because I'm hurt. I'm fidgeting. So what am I going to do? I'm going to munch on something. I'm munching on chips, or I'm going to pick up something. Like you're constantly like, it usually turns into like eating food, which, being hurt and then sitting around and then
Next thing
eating
you
shit
know,
food
you go
all
up.
day. Gained like 20 pounds in like the last, few months just from like sitting around and not being
I,
as active, as I was. I still try to now. Been swimming a bit more lately and getting into that. But
it's
uh,
a process.
I will say too, with the getting older part, it's like I'm trying to train my brain to be like, it's okay to it. It's like, how do I say this? It's like life's way of like letting you take things a little slower and enjoying things. Like still work out, still try to keep that intensity and that mentality, but also maybe like, you can kind of, as I would say, for example, if I went on a hike in the mountains and before, you throw on your backpack, you're rocking, you're just going, your head down, going, walking as fast as you can, trying to get to the top of this thing, trying to finish this whole trail. And now it's more like, wait a second, dude. And you still default to that sometimes. And you're like, wait, dude, like, stop, take it down a notch, a little, maybe walk a little slower and look around. It's
Take a
beautiful
picture.
outside. Pretty, like life is nice. Like you don't have to, for me, because I've always like, I have to be this fast. I have to do this, or I have to, like, I want to be better. Like I want to be faster. I want to be stronger. Like it's a never ending. Um, you're chasing that dragon also. Like you always want to be faster and stronger, and mentally is harder than physically to kind of like tell yourself it's okay to
Smell
change
the
it up a little
roses.
bit.
You know that saying.
Yeah.
It's time to slow down and smell the roses. That would be my 40-year
Mhm.
old thinking. I'm not trying to catch up with the 20-year-olds anymore. Not even on looks, because I'm already looking pretty good by 40. You do too. If we keep
Mhm.
trying to chase
Yeah.
those or compete with those, and I go to a bodybuilding gym, everybody's shredded, everybody looks amazing, but that is not my
Mhm.
goal. That my end goal is not competing. So I have to slow down and just know I'm there to look good naked. I'm there
Yeah, and you won't be happy. You'll be
chasing.
miserable because you're constantly chasing. It's tough. It is
I
tough,
see
right?
it
Like
every day. You
if
gotta
you're
tell
winning
me.
in this, like, you're never happy. You're never happy with the results, kind of. So it's like you have to kind of coach yourself and be like, "Hey, man, it's
No,
okay."
that's why I did
It's
a hammy check this morning. I'm like, wait, why am I bitching? Yeah, I have. Maybe I'm not
Mhm,
shredded right now. I put a lot of weight after a vacation. I had an amazing vacation. Put 10 pounds,
mhm,
but I still flex hamstrings, and those hamstrings were not there when I was 20. So I need to give myself some
mhm.
grace. You saw me. You know me.
You got the back muscles. That's
For
good.
13 years, and you've seen my shape. Like my body shape has completely changed for both of us. You were
Mhm.
just skinny. You don't even have, I remember you were just skinny, and then you got fat. And now me was worse. I was
Yeah.
just skinny, then super fat. But we never, I think we're in our best spot now.
Yeah, it's like I said, give yourself a little grace. We all go through changes and evolutions, like in everything, right? Like you talked about relationships earlier. Same with your fitness is a relationship with you and the gym or whatever it may be. So it's a evolution. You're gonna get bigger, smaller, faster, strong, like slower. You're gonna, it's hard to maintain that. We used to say it's hard to peak. Um, One of the coaching things, it's hard to stay at peak like all the time,
Top
right? You're
performance.
training
Yeah.
up peak, and stay, and then you have this like window almost to stay at peak shape, which is really hard. And for us, it was like you had to stay there all the time almost, right? Like you're trying to stay at peak all the time. And so that's
You
tough
don't
to
enjoy life.
maintain.
You don't enjoy life that way. You
No, and it's tough like that. You enjoy it and it's fun. So you have to give yourself. You can't swing too far off the wagon,
Mhm,
So
you have to keep
it's tough.
moving. I do now. I understand when I will make fun of all these ladies that I see them now that I'm getting to turn into one of those señoras that just go to the Pilates or they go to their yoga class and that's all they do. Bro, that's all I want to do now. Like I maybe, of course, lift weights are always going to be there to keep tone. But honestly, a Pilates and a yoga class, it sounds amazing for somebody my age. Now it's something that you're just moving your body, whatever.
And you got to look at it more as like a long-term investment. It's not even about, everyone wants to work out to look good, right? Like everyone, that's like the main thing, right? Oh, I just want to learn. I want to
So
look good. I want to look good. I want to look good in the summer. I want this. It's like there's lots of people out there with many different body shapes. Not everyone's gonna be a Victoria's Secret
oh,
model
they're not very
or a
bad. No,
freaking
nobody wants to look like.
shredded bodybuilder, but like, I do like it's motivating to me seeing like I would say like your average Joe in the gym. Like watching, I saw a guy the last time I was there. I was doing some workout outside, and I saw this guy. It looked like it was probably his first time out there. He's doing a class, right? I don't know this guy. I just saw him as I'm doing my thing, and there's all these fit people around him. That's probably super intimidating. That's probably so intimidating for that guy. And he was out there with like some baggy gym shorts, a oversized like t-shirt, didn't really have the best like coolest like gym wear on or anything. But you know what? I saw him. He was giving 100% effort.
Love
He
that.
was he was doing everything. The coaches were coming by, fixing his like form, making sure he was doing things right. He was sweating his ass off, looked like he was dying. It was kind of funny, right? But we all started somewhere, and I was like, I said something to him when I walked by him. I said, like, good job, man. I was like, I was like, that was all. I was like, good shit you put out. I was like, I said, like, it was just a quick thing. He's like, oh, thanks. But I look back because people said that stuff to you sometimes. I was like, hopefully that means something. Like, they kind of like those
For
little
him to
things.
show up the
If
next
you
day.
say that to people or give that to people, sometimes that's what's the difference between them coming back or not. I like to see people like in their progress. I love watching people, or I'm not a fitness coach. I've coached in other aspects of different things in life, but I love like seeing that evolution of people, or like just seeing them get that bug, or like seeing their
Bodybuilders or the ones that
mentally and
compete.
physically.
No, and I actually said this to my gym owner yesterday because I was fucking around Black Friday, twerking between machines, the usual me, modeling my cute little GS outfit. And he's like, oh, when are you going to come and have a real training session? I said, look, I'm here. I'm the gym thought. THOT. I'm here to move my body, look cute, maintain a healthy lifestyle, and lift other people up here because I come to get motivated, but I enjoy seeing them actually, that's not for me. Like getting on stage or pushing myself, being sore the next day where you can't even move. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, I do enjoy the soreness a little bit, though. It's kind of like a drug in a
See,
weird
you're
way.
one of those
It's like
weirdos.
I feel like it means I did something, like in a good soreness, not like I hurt myself, but knowing that you work those muscles, it gets a little harder as you get older.
That's
So
what
for
I'm
that
saying. It's
mobility.
like a hangover. You can't compare getting wasted at 20 and then getting wasted at 40.
I would say my main goal takeaways over the last year is like for a lot of people coaching, like hire, even if it's just for a little bit, a nutrition
Yeah, I have
coach
one.
or some sort
I
of.
always have one.
Corinna was amazing. She's an elite athlete who can crush pretty much
Like,
most males I probably know. And she's like fueling your body correctly because that'll help with that, the tiredness, the soreness. Like a lot of people don't know if like you
need
actually
to eat
eat
right.
right.
Yes.
If you do those, it's amazing like what these little things that are available to us, we just don't know about it. But eating right, getting the right amount of carbs, people don't eat enough carbs, like the right amount of protein and fats aren't bad.
And just
Like you can
walk.
get fats
Sometimes
too.
some people just need to go on the walk outside or just move
Mhm.
their bodies. It's the little things. You don't have to be there to be the strongest at the gym. I keep advocating this for people. Don't go. Your
Yeah.
500-pound squat is not worth it. You still should just show up, even if it's on Black Friday. Which brings
Mhm.
me to my last question. What are your future goals in regard with everything, life, work, maybe fitness? Do you have a goal right now? And this is what you as
Yeah.
a life coach.
So before I even answer that, I think that's a great thing for everyone to have. I just talked to my Julian, Julian, my
Of
oldest
course.
son. Just talked to him. I can't remember when, but I talked to him about this, and I was like, it's always good throughout your whole life to set goals
Have a
every
vision board.
year.
Have
I
a
feel like you should
vision
set
board with
there's long-term goals. Like someone's like, I want to finish college and be whatever, right? But I think having a short-term goal
right.
every year, like something small, anything, like some dudes are like, I want to read 20 books this year. Some people, whatever it may be, like having something, like setting it last year, I was like, I've always wanted being here in Tampa. I was like, I always wanted to do skydiving. And then there's my buddy runs the paracommando team for SOCOM, and I wanted to be on that. I wanted to be on a team. I wanted to do something fun, and I was like, but I had to go get my
License.
jump numbers up. So I was like, my goal is like, I want to get on this team. I was like, so I set out to get my license in skydiving because you got to get your license and then get so many jumps. So I was like, and do some other things. So I was like, I want to do this. I was like, that kept me
Focus.
somewhat gave through all
Focus.
that chaos and cloudiness. That was at least one thing I had where it kind of like had like a little bit of a, it was small. It was, it's not like the greatest like achievement in life, but it gave me something to work towards and it gave me something to do. Where if I didn't pick that, I would have just been dealing with all my bullshit
With no
and
purpose.
had
With no
nothing to
purpose.
work towards,
No purpose.
So whatever it may be. This year I've kind of had a couple different ideas. I've only have a few years left in the military, so I'm kind of trying to start figuring out what life is going to be like after that. So I'm kind of want to start working towards that aspect in life. Whether I kind of want to finish some degrees, so restart my schooling that I was doing before
Now,
kind of normal life took over, and I just kind of was like, screw this, I don't want to do it. So I would like to do that, restart my schooling. That's like kind of like a mid to long term goal. Also, my own son is motivating me. He's in college now and he's freaking crushing it. So I'm like,
yeah,
man, good job, dude. I was like, never, me and his mom are like, he's on the dean's list. Or I was like, humble, like, we'll brag for him. But I was like, holy shit. I was like, because he was like in high school, he's like, he was the cool kid. He's like, didn't want to do anything. He's like, school stupid. And then now he went to college and he's just like super focused. So I'm really proud of him for doing that. And kind of motivated me. I'm like, man, I need to get my shit together. You're my
and
20-year-old
Chloe's a
son is kind of trying
competitive
to get.
cheerleader too. Let's throw my
Yep.
niece out there. She does competitive
Yep.
cheerleading for years. That's a
So that's kind of funny you mentioned that because the other day at her gym, I was like sitting there and me, I'm a bigger dude, but surprisingly, people are usually surprised. I'm like pretty athletic. Like I'm to my own horn. I was like, I've been very like nimble. I'm very like I'm pretty athletic as far as like what I can do. I can with my body and like things like that. How I can move around pretty well. Especially for an older guy, I could still do like my handstand into like bridges, like
no,
some
you
of the
did
stuff
one of
she
those.
did.
I do them
You
all
know,
the time.
with with her. So, anyways, you brought up my daughter's cheer thing as far as a goal, like it's kind of like short term goal for me. I talked to them because I've always kind of coinciding with that post military career. I really enjoy being around, like working with kids and coaching and mentoring. I've kind of just learned that more about myself like that recently
But you train
from my
dogs,
job.
I mean, my dogs are my
Yeah,
kids. So think about it. You're good around.
yeah, we trained some, I did that for like a little bit. There's a lot of people that are way more talented than I am at that have had many years experience. But then training people was a lot of fun, and then even having this wealth of knowledge and being able to give that back, I would
Kids
say
will
in my
be great.
military time. But like I really enjoy my daughter does the competition cheer stuff now and I love it. They're like little ninjas out there. They're super athletic and walking or doing all this crazy stuff. So I asked the lady the other day, I was like, hey, what would it take to get involved um, in this organization? I have no skills. I have nothing. And coach told me, she's like, hey, email, blah, blah, blah. And, let her know that you're interested. And I was like, whatever it be taking some courses or whatever, I was like, I'm strong. I do some of the stunts with my daughter in the pool and things like that. And, it's fun to like work on things with her. So it'd be cool to be a little bit more involved in that. So that's kind of a goal that I'm considering right now
Mostly if it
is
pays too.
working at the gym. I don't know,
Yeah.
like I don't even know if they like pay you or not. I don't really care. I just kind of wanted to like work. It'd be fun to just go there and like help out, learn the ropes a bit, and then it'd be fun to do that, and we could share that with her, and then also I could become better and more knowledgeable on some of the things, and then I could share that with her, and then maybe be able to like kind of build my you're always learning, right? And you learn through experience. So if I want to like be able to coach or teach kids or work in some sort of like fitness
Area.
uh area in life after the military, which is kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to work with kids, not like elite I don't know what that means, but I kind of wanted to like, just kind of it's nice to shape the future. It's nice to be able to do that. And I feel like I'm decent at it. So I would like to step into that role and then work with, you're working with different personalities, different people. You're working with parents, you're working with children of all ages and skill levels. And so I think it would be a good
Go
step in that
for you
direction
because you're a people's person.
yeah, to not only do that, but then to watch the people around you and kind of learn from them and see how they navigate whatever those things are, and how they attack them, how they approach them, and then maybe even give my insight just through like some life skills that could help them, apply their skills even better.
Yeah, because
So
if anything that you and I have is experience and knowledge, we're old and crippled. I'm being honest. That's what I say. I don't give advice at the gym though. I have my own coach. I do, like I said, I don't do minimal effort, but I'm also not a competitive effort because I like
mhm.
maintaining a
Yeah.
health.
So that's a one goal I'm kind of currently working on, and the other is I'm trying to get my proficiency up still with the jump team because now we get to travel, which is a lot of fun.
The skydiving?
And then Yep. And so like I get to jump with the paracommando team and they get to do air shows and stadiums. Stadiums is far away. You got to be prorated for that. So that takes a lot of time and proficiency. But one day, hopefully, that's a future long-term goal. Before I get out, I would hopefully like to be able to jump into like the Bucks games here, or some other football games down the line. Hopefully, I can get there and stay healthy and make it, but I'm pretty close to being able to do air shows. So once I get that proficiency up, I'm only a few away, and then once they check off, that everything's safe and you're good to go, be able to jump into some air shows, which has really been a joy to do. Traveling around, I've done a couple now, and just seeing the people come out and like they're just love for the country and the military and things like that. It's a different world, right? We spend so much time doing one thing and then
Now you're doing, well, you're
uh,
still going to stay
I get
connected,
to
military
yeah,
appreciation.
it's cool to see the how happy and excited people are about that stuff, because for so long you kind of take it for granted, like you're like, oh, it's just work, and now it's like, oh, it's really awesome
We're so
see that
thankful
side
for
of
you
it and
guys'
promote.
service. I am a
Mm,
number one supporter of all of you
mm.
guys.
Yes,
You
thank
guys
you.
are
I know.
heroes, and you guys don't give yourself enough credit ever. Like
Mhm.
you,
Especially on deployment day, you were very
and
excited.
us, me.
Yes.
Wait,
Would you just like to go in the locker room?
to the locker room to see all that naked men? Yes, yes. They were. You guys were hot back in the day. I repeat, back in the day, you guys had that elite squad. I don't know what it was a requirement in 175, but everybody was a poppy.
Yeah, and 2B was
Rest
just
in peace, Sanchez, or what was the one, Latino, all of them. Jesus,
mm-hmm. Yep. Everyone in BK was a monster. So
it was incredible.
these idols that you look up to make you want to be better. So
And I think the best part of it is you guys are good inside out. And if anything that I can say about you, Pete, you are an amazing friend, a great father, an awesome person to be around. You bring joy to whoever you are. You're funny and cute. So I'm not. This is the only time I won't be insulting you. So I better stop here so I can cuss you out. I don't know who's
yeah,
running Chris Page, but I do insult him there.
get your point across. Love what you're doing. You always try to like help people. You always want to make them better. And I think the more stories you share with everyone, it just shows. I think it creates that like more comfortable environment for everyone to kind of join in and kind of feel like they're not alone and deal with life, because life is hard.
It
It's harder
is.
by yourself sometimes.
And don't be bitter. Don't be angry for the situations that happen. There's always with a smile.
Mhm,
Pete always with a smile.
mhm.
I think we're
Yes,
the positive Nancy's of the group always.
perspective. Always try to look at, be grateful for what you have versus what you don't. So it's tough sometimes, but it's a good mindset to try to constantly work towards and try to be better at, instead of we all catch ourselves being a little negative sometimes, and sometimes you got to take a step back and be like, been a little too negative lately. I need to refocus and readjust, and get back to where I need to
And
be.
be grateful.
So
And that's the Latino in you, because as Latinos, we're very grateful. And like me and a lot, this will be another episode. Not growing up with a lot makes us more valuable. We value everything. We value friendship. We value our
mhm,
families. And we value another day of life. That's the fact.
facts.
Thank you so much for being here. And I just want to tell everybody, when nobody believes in you, you got to believe in yourself. And if not, Pete and I will believe in you because we are strong believers.
Big believers. So thank you for everything.
Nope.
Taz, come here. Say bye.
Let's
Up.
see doggy. Let's see doggy. And don't go nowhere
Mhm.
until the doubles. I can't see Taz.
There he goes.
Where? Oh, yes,
Say hi.
a little bit. I just see the ball. He's so handsome. I'll show you mine in a second, but I'll say, there you are, Taz.
Jazzy. So